We are now recording the meeting, and there will not be written minutes. I couldn't convince anybody that they wanted to do that. So the recording will be what we'll have to rely on.
That would just go on the website.
And the recordings go on the website. Let's see, did I forget anything? Use the website, reach out to me. Oh, and I'm having a blast taking all of the town's reports and putting them in an Excel spreadsheet. And it is so exciting to see all the towns that now have green communities in a row, or have now EV charging stations in a row, and so on. Barnstable's covering their face. So it's a good way to get the towns to join in and accomplish what others have accomplished. So with that, I will start. And the first update that we're going to have is from Kate Warner, who has a previous appointment. And Kate is representing Martha's Vineyard Commission's energy. She is the energy planner for the Martha's Vineyard Commission. Kate, you want to take over?
Okay, so I'm just supposed to do my energy planner thing now and then West Tisbury later.
If you can, yes. And I've got it all backwards.
So I have just started at the Martha's Vineyard Commission a couple of weeks ago as the Vineyard's first energy planner. This is one of two energy positions that have been created on the Vineyard in the last month. One is the energy planner at the commission. The position is focused on regional energy issues, working with Eversource on power supply, grid modernization, resilience, where we might have microgrids, following and hopefully supporting the Steamship Authority in making a plan to electrify their fleet, supporting towns in their plans for energy resilience, and making a plan for where the Vineyard needs more electric vehicle charging infrastructure.
Let me remind people to mute themselves, please. We've got background background noise, and we do want to hear Kate. All right, Kate. Sorry.
The second position is housed at Vineyard Power, and it's called the Energy Transition Coordinator. Dion Alley, who some of you may know from the Compact Board, is doing that job. And it involves supporting homeowners and businesses in making the transition to 100% electric, and will include setting up an energy coach program similar to what Newton has. That's my report.
Excellent. All right. The next person that we have, Maggie will be joining us shortly. So in the meantime, can I have Janet, can you give the update for the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative?
Yep, sure. Hi, everybody. It's great to be back. I haven't been here in a while, but nice to see so many familiar faces. I'm Janet Williams. I'm the Vice President of the Cape Cod Climate Collaborative, who's been working with you, this group, for several years at least. I'll be brief. I have two updates. The first relates to a strategic priority that the Climate Collaborative has for 2022 and 23 to work to help citizen groups in towns across Cape Islands organize themselves into citizen-led local climate action networks. We call them CANs for these organizations, but we use CANs as an offhand way to refer to all grassroots citizen climate groups. We're working actively now with groups in 6 towns that have gotten themselves organized. Some of you may know this, some of you may sit on some of those groups. And we're having conversations with citizens of about 4 other towns, trying to work with them to figure out how they can initiate organizing a group in their town. So this is a priority because we see the intersection of these grassroots citizen-led groups and the groups that you represent, the official appointed town energy committees. That intersection is an area of particular focus because we see it as a fertile field for collaboration. Some towns already have both a citizens group and an official appointed committee, and where those two entities are aligning their interests and working together, we're seeing real efficiencies emerge. Synergies are emerging. 1 + 1 = 3, even 4. Together, working together, the citizens group and the town committee can amplify their influence on town decision makers, can amplify amplify their voices and can amplify their ability to engage residents in the town to come out and support the climate actions that the committee and the town group are developing or endorsing. We see it as a really powerful and effective combination and collaboration that comes out of this partnership. So if your town has a citizens group, please make sure that your committee is working with them, making that a priority. If you need help connecting with them, or they need help getting organized, the Climate Collaborative is here to help provide assistance with outreach, with communications, and with planning. So we have initiated a monthly conversation of these town citizen groups, third Thursday of each month. The next one's going to be next Thursday, the 22nd of September at 6:30. There's a, if you haven't seen the invitation, shoot me an email. I'm going to pop this into the chat and I'll get you the invitation. It's a quick Zoom sign up. And once we get past the first few, we won't have to go through signups anymore because we'll have a dedicated list, but we're hoping to grow the group over time so that people can talk to and support each other, which is the very important thing that comes out of this. So next Thursday is the September meeting, and we'll hope to see some of you there. So the other update is, of course, our Net Zero Conference, which happens on Friday, October 28th. Once again, thanks to COVID, it's virtual, it's free. And this year it has a very particular focus on energy. So we have a panel, one of our sessions is a panel with offshore wind representatives from Avangrid, Vineyard Wind, and Mayflower Wind. We'll all sit together on a panel and discuss how to harness the highest offshore wind capacity, how industry, public, and private sectors can all work together. We also have a session featuring Soren Hermansen, who is the driving force behind what's called the Samso revolution. Samso is an island in Denmark, and he led the effort to turn it into a internationally known model of renewable energy. It runs entirely on renewable energy. Small island, not unlike some of in our region. So something for everybody in the conference. We also have a panel on local climate action in line with our priorities. So there'll be a number of people, including myself and from the Cape Cod Commission and some others, who will talk about how regional and state resources can be brought to bear to support people working at the local level. So check it out. Please sign up for the conference. I'm popping that into the chat as well, if you want the website for that.
And
And
perhaps you can send that information. We can post it on the ECI website as well.
sure,
Dates.
absolutely. As soon as the official flyer is ready to go, I'll send it to you. In the meantime, the webpage is up and running, so you can check it out there.
All right. I wanted to let you know that there will, if we can get through and stick to our time frame, be an opportunity for questions towards the end. So jot them down if you have them. We'll make sure to give you that opportunity. Pizza's here. You should all not feel that you have to stay in your seats. Go ahead and have some pizza. And everybody who's watching can
I feel like I can smell it, Liz.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm hungry.
Go for it. Now we have Tatiana Nicanello, who is with us from the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative. Tatiana, can you unmute yourself and give us your update from the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative?
Hello, and I'm gonna try to, if it's possible, I'm
You
trying
want
to
to share?
presentation. Yes. Do I need to ask permission to share screen?
No, the host has given the opportunity to people to share your screen, so you should be able to.
Okay, share screen. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen?
You can.
Excellent. So I'm gonna start. And since the time is so precious, I'm gonna try kind of speed it up a little bit. So for those that who might not be familiar with the CVAC, I'm Tatiana Nicanello. I'm Business and Projects Administrator And I'm very glad to be here today. Too bad no pizza here, but anyways. So CVAC was established in 2007, and it's an energy cooperative and is deemed a Massachusetts government entity. And the main function of CVAC is to procure, develop, and manage solar and other renewable energy projects. Currently, we have 25 members comprising of towns and counties, as well as 10 governmental participants such as school districts, water districts, and the like. I encourage everybody to find, since everything is going to be online anyways, you will be able to access this presentation online, or you can surely reach out to me. The link will be provided at the end of the presentation, the email, I'm sorry. And I can definitely connect you with your own director, CVAC director from each town. I actually saw some as members of this meeting tonight, so it's very nice. And you can always reach out to us directly as well. So this is just an example of what exactly CVAC does and what do we do and how do we do it. This is just an example of the most recent, what we call a round. So town and county or a district identifies possible projects. CVAC collects projects information from the participant. CVAC asks each participant for a letter of commitment, which includes the process and procurement guidelines and fees. After that, CVAC's consultant prepares a project prospectus or feasibility study. CVAC issues an RFQ, which is sort of like a new model since we have been implementing directly RFP in the past, but now we found out that pre-qualification might ease the process and vet the developers prior to issuing RFP. After that, we issue RFP, and ultimately, CVAC makes conditional project awards and negotiates final contracts. So this is about the process that we are usually going through. So CVAC manages 60 CVAC projects and plus 3 third-party contracts and 1 battery project. And this you may find very interesting. This is a long list of all the projects and all the towns that are currently participating in CVAC projects. For example, I can bring your attention. Can you guys see my cursor a little bit going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is how you would read this particular graph. Aquina, host, 100% fire department, meaning Aquina is a host of this Aquina Fire Department project, and it's 100% production from that particular project, and it's deemed behind the meter, BTM, which means the meter is associated with the building that the project is located at. Alternatively, if you look at the Barnstable County, for example, over here, see how it says OT? That means off-taker. Then we move on to the third column and we see 11%. And we move again and we see Barnstable Fire District. So Barnstable Fire District in this situation is a host of the project to which Barnstable County is an off-taker in the amount of 11%. And if you look over here, it would say net metering credits with off-taker. So that's just a couple of examples. If you have
doing on your slides, Tatiana, we're gonna move you along.
Yes, yes. So I just, brushed a little bit through them just so people can understand how exactly to read them. If it says cash out, it's just another way to cash the net metering credits versus getting a credit on your electric bill. You just receive cash instead. So we'll move on. And this is another interesting interactive tool that I encourage everybody to look at. It is located on CVAC's website at cvacinc.org. You can find project in your town if there is one. You can click on the link and you will see the real-time production data. If you look over here, you can always look at the 3 days, months, year production, and so on and so forth. So it's a fun and at the same time informational tool. current status. So federal government just passed a sweeping legislation. You guys probably already heard about it, for renewable energy projects, and CVAC is exploring all the opportunities within the scope of their legislation. Since it's only a few weeks old, we are still in the process of acquiring information from various sources. However, there are some challenges associated with the costs and logistics. Thus, CVAC was not able to contract round 6. So saying that, the reason why we couldn't contract round 6 is because of those challenges. And here, we try to sort of identify those challenges. Raw material costs, shipping costs increased dramatically. So that's something just to keep in mind, going forward. Saying that, there are good news because hopefully we are hoping that this legislature will offset the supply chain issues for future bids and make it more attractive for all the towns and communities on Cape Cod and islands and just Massachusetts in general.
Great, Tatiana. Oh, good, perfect.
That's all. And this is the email address you can reach me out at.
Perfect. Before we go on, we have a presentation from Maggie. She's here. And also,
Okay, no problem. This is it. Thank you so much. Thanks.
no, stick around, Tatiana. There'll be questions at the end.
Okay.
But I do want to note that we have Sue Moran here with us. And Sue, do you want to take a minute and stop sharing your screen if you can, Tatiana? There we go. Do we have Sue Moran here? Or did we lose her already? We may have lost her. Mark Forrest, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
You can. So here's a commissioner, Cape Cod commissioner. Thank you for being here. You want to say a few words?
No, I just want to let everybody know that the county is obviously very interested in this collaboration, and we certainly want to play a full role and partner. I'm genuinely interested in the updates from each of the towns and obviously some of the other regional initiatives. It's great to see the island communities heavily involved in this. It's great partnering with them. So I just look forward to hearing what everybody has to say and some of the discussion at the end in terms of where we go from here. So thank you all for participating and being a part of this.
Great, thank you. Sue, still no Sue Moran, I'm so sorry, but she was on for a few minutes. Somebody notified me to pay attention, which I did. But that said, Maggie, would you like to give your presentation, please, or your update? I shouldn't say presentation.
Certainly. So, hi everyone. Nice to see people in the room again. Yay! And greetings to everybody on Zoom. So there's an awful lot happening in the world of energy efficiency. And I could spend the whole time talking about that. So, but I'm not going to. We had our board meeting yesterday, and I just want to say a couple of things. We have a great presentation that is up on our website as part of yesterday's board meeting packet that gives a summary of the recently passed Massachusetts climate bill, as well as the IRA. Very high level, but lots of data. Lots of money, everybody's looking, we are looking for it. It's, formula grants, lots to be determined, but at least it'll give you a good resource to check into, and we're going to continue the conversation in October. Hopefully we'll have more money, and more information as we find out how the state intends to integrate, complement, hopefully not duplicate, mass save programs with the dollars and the resources that are coming from the federal government, of billions of dollars that will be coming through to formula grants to the state energy offices throughout the country. There's also, I just want to, this should not come as a surprise to any of you, you're in the energy field. We are heading into a winter season of probably the highest rates for all fuels, electricity, natural gas, propane, and oil that I've seen in my lifetime. And that we are working with our towns and our board members to give presentations, updates. Energy efficiency should be the foundation of everything that you look to, everything that you do to help limit the impacts of what we expect to be a very brutally hard winter. with increasing energy costs. We also have a great presentation about what's happening and why. Our board spent about 45 minutes to an hour yesterday going over what is happening in New England energy markets. Again, lots of information out on the website. But the board yesterday also took up something that was a project that was is being discussed. Hasn't been fully vetted in all the details, but it was brought to the board by our chair, Mark Kulik, who's on Zoom. He's also on the Orleans Energy Committee, with specifically the proposal to create a master energy program coming up modeled after Master Gardeners, but to hopefully with funds from the IRA dollars or another source of funds, to have a full-time staff person at the compact just dedicated to working with all of you, because all of you are volunteers, to help educate and be a one-stop shopping for questions. So, you know, I have what is available for the solar tax rebate for a residential customer. So again, here to augment all of the good information that you provide in your own energy and climate committees, but also to help customers that just may have a call. How do I access energy efficiency? What's out there to help me replace to put solar panels on my roof, or to replace my heating system? How do I do this?
Simply, what's a heat pump?
Right, what's a heat pump? Again, it's one person. I know every one of the towns would love to have an energy coordinator full-time dedicated to them, but that's not what this position is. We need some of those billions sent this way, because an energy coordinator in the town, as you all know, is a full-time job. But it is a start to try and centralize and help facilitate and answer questions. One of the things I learned was just at the ACEEE conference out in California last month. And one of the things that, we talked about the most is about all of the money that's coming, but most importantly, stacking our resources so that customers don't get confused. We all get a little, guilty of it ourselves. We all get a little protective of our own services, and we want to have the money and we want to control things. So it's really, really important, since we're all working in this space, to coordinate, to collaborate. That's what's great about this group of people. As we talk, we let each other know what's going on, so that we're not duplicating effort or services. So that's some of a very high level. I know we wanted to keep it brief because there's a lot of people to go around the table.
This is like race horses, seeing how fast we can all run. So now we have Heather McElroy from the Cape Cod Commission, and
Oh, I see. Got it.
Yes.
So that they can see me. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here this evening. So yeah, just a couple of updates. Starting with, you may be aware that we have been working, Cape Cod Commission has been working with 10 towns on a low-lying roads project, assessing vulnerability and potential solutions. We're sort of halfway through that project with funds from the Economic Development Administration and the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program. We've just secured funds from the MVP program to do the remaining 5 towns on Cape Cod, which is terrific. So Provincetown, Chatham, Harwich, Ashby, and Falmouth will be added, and have the entire Cape assessed and identify some solutions for 2 road segments in each of the participating communities. So that's exciting. Then sort of on the EV front, we are working towards a contract with a consultant to help us develop an EV model bylaw that would help communities revise their zoning or other regulations to make siting of EV facilities more straightforward. So that's a great development, I think.
And just to be clear, those would all be DC, like the fast chargers?
Well, so to be determined, I don't even know. I think the point is that this is a consultant to help us help towns come up with model language for towns to adopt into their zoning or other regulations that would facilitate the siting of either charging stations or just dedicated spots for EV. I think, what exactly is incorporated is
To be determined.
Okay.
But isn't that part of the new law anyway? I mean, isn't that part of the new stretch code that was under the new
Mhm.
Massachusetts.
Those
So
are
it-
housing. That's the house, not the street or not the.
Right,
the
but the town would need, so you're talking about like municipal, but like
Yeah.
for the municipal parking lot or
Exactly.
not somebody building a house.
Right, right,
So
right.
that's
Or
covered by.
commercial developments and guidance on citing requirements, I think.
Right, because I think some of that's already is included in the new bill that they signed.
Well, all that new bill says is you have to have one, not how you put it in, what regulations there are, what, you know, what code, who has to inspect it, any of the other
Right,
things.
right.
And just for the record, with all the parties here, at the CVEC meeting today, that was one of the issues that the island seems to be bringing forward as a challenge is getting a DC charging station in, a fast charging station in has been a bit of a challenge for the island.
It probably will be for everybody else too.
Okay, sorry, I didn't.
No, that's fine. This is actually not my area. I'm clearly reading from some other person's work. And then the commission is also partnering with Recharge Massachusetts to develop an EV equity plan, and secondly, to host an EV expo. And so if anyone's interested to participate in a steering committee, let
Steering
know,
committee,
let
get
me-
it?
yeah.
Oh, you have.
It's
No
Steve
steering
Tupper.
required on another person.
Another admittance, so boy.
We don't have, Steve Tupper at the Cape Cod Commission is coordinating that, so you can either, if you know Steve, you can contact him directly or contact me.
I can put that on the ECU website, contact Steve Tepper for EV steering committee.
Yeah, so those are developments more on that.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Everybody is being so mindful of the timing. Elizabeth Durkee, Liz Durkee, are you with us?
Hi.
Do you have anything you want? I know you weren't sure you had a lot to add, but.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I'm the climate change planner for the Martha's Vineyard Commission, and our big news really right now is the fact that we have Kate Warner as our new energy planner. And she's the best person for the job, and we're going to get a lot of work done. And we also have, as she said, the Vineyard Power has a new energy transformation coordinator. Aside from that, we released, as I mentioned last month, our climate action plan, and we're working on introducing that to the public and the select boards and starting to implement it. So it's really exciting now that the commission has a climate change planner and an energy planner, and we're going to make things happen.
I would note too that going over the reports that everybody, the towns have submitted, I noticed that part of it is really lacks the updates because it's most curious as to who has an action plan and who has adopted regulations of any kind. So if everybody can go back to their report and update it, it would be really helpful. Okay, so we're going to get into the towns now. We're going to do it backwards. So we will have the going in reverse order, and we're going to start with the island. That was a request that was made. So that would be West Tisbury, and I think Kate has had to leave, but somebody said they would be able to speak for Kate, and I'm not sure who that was. Oh, Kate, are you still here?
Kate's here.
She's here. Okay, Kate, you want to do your update on West Tisbury?
Yes, West Tisbury has now a 10-hour-a-week assistant to our Energy Committee and Climate Advisory Committee, so that's a nice step. We had a working group meeting last week, and we prioritized the order of our town buildings to be better insulated and air sealed in preparation for further resilience strategies. We just received an absolutely excellent energy analysis report of our school and what would need to happen to improve the building. The school ranges in age from 1973 to 1994, and it's 61,000 square feet, uses more than half of the town's energy, so improving it would be a great step. We submitted home rule petitions to the legislature requesting to be allowed to require 100% electrification of new construction and major renovations, and requesting the same building sites be prepared for future EV charging. As you all know, there's now a 10-town pilot project that was part of the climate bill. I think it's likely we will not be able to be part of the pilot project because we are trying everywhere we can, but I don't think we can meet the affordable housing requirements. Hoping that maybe the legislature might grant our requests anyways in 2023, but I've heard people be dubious about that. And there is a group called the Building Electrification Accelerator Group. And the original members are the 10 towns that have those HRPs before the legislature. But other towns have been participating as well. I'd say about at least 30 towns in the Commonwealth participate. And I would like to urge everybody to join this. They meet quarterly. If you would like to join, I guess I could put in the chat, the woman's name is Ann Wright, and I'll put her email address in the chat. But you get to hear what's happening around the state, and particularly what's happening with the 100% electrification effort. They do urge that all Cape and Vineyard towns submit home rule petitions on these topics, because the more the legislature is pressured by these, the more likely it is that they will allow it. If anybody would like to see what our pieces look like, our articles that we passed at town meeting and then sent up to the legislature, both Aquina and I have those, Aquina and West Tisbury, and we would be happy to share them. That's it. I'm done.
I believe that's on the ECI website as well, because Bill Lake shared that with us.
Okay, good. So I'll just put Ann Wright's email. If you want to join the BEA, please write Ann and tell her.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kate. We have, I have neglected to note that we have a guest here tonight. Mike, I would like people to be able to know Mike Strauss is here from Newburyport. Newburyport has done some banner efforts in the way of bringing their programs forward, energy and climate programs forward. So he's here to see how we're doing with our more regional approach. So I think we're looking pretty good. And with that, Sue Moran, I see you're back. Sue, are you able to?
Hi, Liz. Is
Hi.
this working?
It is.
You know, it's I've been here, but I was unable to unmute for whatever, reason, just bad connection. But I have to say, it buoys me so much to see the amount of organization and coordination. You're moving really quickly, no surprise. I heard Maggie, of course, and the commission. Thank you for all of the sort of the update and for really being diligent about having the information on the website. I think that's incredible. One of the things that, I've been talking to Mike Barrett about, and I'm just going to throw this in because everyone has their hands full here, is the difficult winters on the Cape. I spent a lot of time in the shelters, bringing coffee and such. And I think one of the bridges to cross is really the generator issues, and right now where we are with batteries and that kind of thing. I feel terrific about the fact that we're moving forward as I sit in my all-electric car with chargers. The state is very cognizant of the fact that there are a lot of repair and coordination issues left to be done. But I think in terms of our district, we need to really be loud about the fact that we're in it. We're totally working really hard, and we've got to figure out the how to jump off the fossil fuel element of generators for that last piece. The technology I know is coming and is being worked on, but that's just I really see that as a place that we need a springboard on. So just kind of throwing that in with my appreciation of the education here. I apologize, I was late. I was at Awake and I'm moving to another thing pretty soon, but I'm going to be looking at the minutes and again, thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you. And just so to reiterate, that was our state senator.
Oh.
So yes, that is our state senator, Sue Moran. Some of us know her because she was very much working with us on all of this in Falmouth, but she's now at the state level. Thanks. So moving on, going backwards, we have Tisbury. Do we have an update from Tisbury? Is that you, Alan? You're going to do a few of them?
Yes, we do. And I'm going to do all the rest of the towns, actually.
Go for it.
And I'm not going to do them quite in alphabetical order, but at any rate, here we go. Chilmark reports that the construction of their firehouse complex is going well. It's underway. It'll include 4 level 2 public charging ports with space for expansion to as many as 10 ports. And the building will also be solar ready. So they're excited about that. They've received a grant from the state's EV incentive program for installing a DC fast charger in the town center. And I think that was previously mentioned as a subject that came up at the CVAC meeting. Right now, the project is in the Eversource queue, and the town now needs to allocate the funds for the warranty for 5 years, software, and so forth, and then come up with the RFP for the DC fast charger. Their ETA is mid-2023. We put in a bunch of chargers in Edgartown, I'll get to in a moment, and I'm hoping that they can do it a bit faster as we might have. At any rate, Chilmark joined with Aquina in applying and being accepted into the federal ETIP program. Now that's the Energy Transition Initiative Partnership. And what that program does is it pairs towns with experts from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory to get help to do planning for the coming transition to all renewable electric power. And the towns were selected, I think, because they're on an island, which I think made it a more interesting case for this. At any rate, the ETIP will supply technical data to support the municipal master plan for energy, including building retrofits, renewables, batteries, microgrids, and so on. And this work starts late this month with an expectation of completion in about a year. Aquina was also accepted for the federal ETIP program and is participating alongside Chilmark. In addition, they're one of the 10 towns authorized by the new state climate law, it's already been mentioned, to implement the no fossil fuel mandate for new buildings and substantial renovations. They do qualify, however, because they have sufficient affordable housing. So although both West Tisbury and Aquina submitted home rule petitions, it looks like Aquina's will be successful and they'll be one of the 10 towns that are heading up this effort. Oak Bluffs, I contacted them. They have nothing to report at this time, except the fact that they are working diligently on the Green Community Grant designation list. That's about it for them. Tisbury, the Climate and Energy Committee is working on a number of things, but their highest priority right now is green community grants. They've had a number of these in the past and are hoping to come up with some good proposals for the 2 upcoming rounds of the green community grants. Lastly, Edgartown, my town, we were recently accepted into the Green Communities program. We got a $132,000 designation grant. And we're now assembling our plan for energy savings measures to spend that money on. And a couple of these are quite important to the town. We're going to be including new dimmable LED lighting for the Edgartown School and a project for demand controlled ventilation that will have ventilation responding to CO2 monitors in the classrooms and so on. And secondly, a partial funding for an installation of some energy saving hydraulic pumps at the wastewater treatment plant. And if we put these plus all the other minor ones we have that are free from incentives, we'll wind up saving about 3.1 billion BTUs per year and reaping about $101,000 per year in energy cost reductions. So we're very pleased to have that happening and quite proud of it. We also have our level 2 chargers. After a long struggle, we did manage to get them in, and they started came into operation in late June, and have been operating since then. For the 2.2 months from beginning to August 31st, we had 252 charging sessions. We dispensed 5.2 megawatt hours of energy, and we saved 3.68 metric tons of greenhouse gases. What's not to love? We also researched a table of island charger locations and for the public, and we had the table and the location map actually printed in our local newspaper, the Martha's Vineyard Times. We're presently preparing a retrospective of the energy generated by the town's 2 solar fields, starting in June 2014 and up to June 30th, 2021, i.e. not including FY22. We generated 19.9 gigawatt hours of power. The net benefits altogether have been 1.24 million, and we're now waiting on the FY 2022 data. Lastly, we're presently working on a 5-year plan for energy savings, including a microgrid for our police and fire facilities. So that concludes the Martha's Vineyard reports.
Phew, okay. Very good. Well, that's one way to get through Martha's Vineyard. And we do have Nantucket as part of this group, Becky group. But I don't think Lauren Sinatra is with us. I didn't see her checking in. So we will move on to the Kate reports, and going backwards as we would start with Yarmouth. Who is the
Well,
designated?
let me just say, as the last town alphabetically in the entire Commonwealth, we appreciate that, Liz. Thank you. We have a couple of things. One, our intermediate school in Dennis Yarmouth on Station Ave will be opening in 2023. Highly sustainable design, all sorts of good things to say about it. I won't say any of them because the facilities manager is right here. So if you want to ask detailed questions, you got the real source here. The second thing is, you probably know about the Solarize Yarmouth project and how we're playing catch up for a lot of our residents because our vendor went belly up and disappeared with a number of people's money and in down payments. Some people have panels on roofs and they need inspection. Some people have no panels at all with a down payment. So we're working through these classes slowly but surely of different types of abandonment. But we're learning some things we would never have learned otherwise. And I mentioned these 2 things today, just in case they're of interest to any of you on energy committees. One, I just found out this morning, which is that fire departments are getting elaborate energy safety bulletins on energy storage systems, but they're not necessarily going to building departments. Now, I got news of this and got to look at one through our building commissioner this morning, but he said actually most of these usually go just to the fire department, but in Yarmouth, those 2 groups work hand in hand, and that's why he has it. And that included some fairly stringent construction requirements that would affect building and residential storage. And I think it's worth a look if you have anybody in your town who wants to get into storage. We were spared that in Solarize because our installer disappeared and didn't deliver any batteries. But you know, there will be batteries in the future. So we were really gonna keep on top of those requirements. Here's where the requirements are issued from. The Massachusetts Department of Fire Services Division of Licensure, LICENSURE, and they're issued as joint memoranda. And they come out at least once a year, but apparently usually more than that.
Joyce, Mass Department of Fire, what was it?
Safety.
Sure.
No, safety,
Oh,
okay.
services, sorry.
Services.
My bad.
Then Division of Licensure Services.
Okay, so that was one valuable life lesson for us energy people in Yarmouth. from our Solarize Yarmouth cleanup. Yes, our second one though is pretty interesting as well. I had no idea that there's this intermediate industry that doesn't sell and install solar panels, but that sort of does cleanup. Big solar companies hire them if they have warranties on people's panels, but they don't have anybody near there and maybe they don't want to bother. They also are hireable for repairs, but they don't do initial installations and they're not in the sales business, and they make that really clear. That turns out to be an opportunity for our finishing some of our installations in Solarize Yarmouth. The name of the one that we have heard in Eastern Massachusetts is NovaSource. And if you wanted to see their website, it's novasourcepower.com. And it's pretty refreshing to see one that isn't trying to sell you panels. But they apparently have the technical people to come in and problem solve and exchange out panels. And they have actually exchanged out an under functioning panel for one customer in Yarmouth already at the expense of the manufacturer, SunPower. So we're hopeful about that direction. Okay, the final thing is, you probably are aware of this, and the best source on this in the room is Maggie, not myself. But Willow Street, connecting Yarmouth Port with West Yarmouth, is the happy home of Eversource. And Eversource is our local distribution company, is taking advantage of a new state program that allows distribution companies in areas with large environmental justice populations to put up solar arrays on their property and have considerable energy storage there, even though that wouldn't usually be allowed to them as a distribution company. So expect to see in the backyard behind the building, lots of solar panels going up and storage probably sticking its elbows out everywhere. And that will help low-income customers in Yarmouth. It's a little confusing about how that's going to work. And I don't pretend to understand the stuff that's being considered at the state level. But I guess it would amount to, how we talk about the mill adder with the compact or the kind of renewable energy adder. This would be a small subtractor on people who have the low income power bills and are in that classification. So we're really glad to be part of that. And Yarmouth does have everybody getting free lunches because we have a large enough population that the schools are giving a majority of free lunches. So I mean, we're really qualified for that. And I just wish it was the sort of thing that could happen in every town big enough to fit it all. It's going to be unsightly, but it's in the back, so no one will care. There was a complaint that I heard this morning only because I was meeting with the building commissioner that suggested that maybe all the trees in front on Station Ave with the new school, maybe all of them didn't have to come down.
We're planting.
Yeah, oh, I know.
It's all been approved by the building.
Yeah. And
You got 100 and something trees ready to go in.
yeah. Did the early ones have to come down? I don't know. But anyway, let's hope that.
23 dead ones.
Oh, if they were dead, well, they'd lived past their happy times.
While Sandy's on the floor, can we give Sandy Cashin a round of applause? She's been the facilities director for 10 terms. Certainly.
Well, I was facility director for 12 years and 20 years I was the secretary.
Well, and she's responsible to some degree for making sure that DY is one of the leaders in the regional school district in solar with 6 solar installations. So thank you, Sandy. She's retiring.
Tomorrow's my last day.
So we're going out drinking tonight.
And all of the schools that she's had under her umbrella working are Energy Star schools, and they didn't start that way before Sandy.
That's good.
Yes. Hey, we have Wellfleet in my backwards alphabet up to bat. Dick. Dick Elkins.
Hi. I represent Wellfleet. I'm the chairman of our Energy and Climate Action Committee, and Suzanne Ryan is our vice chair, who's also here. We're Energy and Climate Action, which corresponds roughly to energy mitigation and adaptation. So in terms of mitigation, right now, the most active thing we're doing is a program at the library, 3-part program. Maggie helped us on the first one. The attendance was not as great as it could have been. And last night we had an electric car presentation, which had quite a few more enthusiastic people showing up. The last one will be on solar PV. And I think we've decided to take the route that we're not going the solarized mass route, but we'll simply recommend individual vendors, a list of 5 or 6 that we've dealt with. I'd love to get the name of the one Joyce was just talking about to put them on a do not talk to list. But
That's only if you get into trouble and the stuff needs
No,
fixing.
you mean solar wolves.
You
Yeah.
won't. I'm confident you won't.
Solar
no,
wolves.
your original vendor, the one who went belly up. But in any event, that program is going on at the library. So that's our approach. When we deal with mitigation, we can deal with the town's activities and the general population's activities. And it's the general population that we're focusing on now, following a little bit of what Martin was talking about one-on-one. We're going to pursue that. And also the Martha's Vineyard lady who had another approach to essentially the same thing, having one-on-one connections between individuals and townspeople to do hand-holding. Because the main effect of our program is to reduce friction and let people be able to find someone who can help them walk through it. So that's the thrust of it. We have to work on that more. In terms of adaptation, tonight we are talking with our town administrator. Perhaps Suzanne would like to go over what we're discussing there. Suzanne?
Okay. I better draw up. Okay.
While you're doing that, Suzanne, let me, I just would note that Yarmouth did a program somewhat similar in the sense that you had somebody, usually Bob, who was available at the council, the senior center, for people who had any questions about solar, and that was going back a few years. But so, he was there for certain hours, and he was knowledgeable. You could come in and talk to him and get guidance that way. So it's a similar thinking of making some kind of expert available so that to help people, the one-on-one. All right, so Suzanne, are you caught up?
Yeah, so, okay. Our committee compiled a list of about 10 questions, and our new town administrator is going to be attending the meeting tonight so that we can begin talking, engaging the town administration more regularly on energy and climate action issues. And examples of some of what we want to ask is, let's see. Oh, okay. So one thing that would be very helpful to our town is we don't really know how many residents are buying hybrid or electric vehicles. And I'm not sure we even know how many are putting up solar panels. So just having that information and seeing which way the data is going would be very useful for us in terms of how we decide to engage the public. That's one of our charges for this year, is to do a lot more public outreach. So, and then another question, it was just a lot of little questions that probably are not pertinent to this meeting, really. We do want to know if there's a plan for an emergency shelter in town. One of the things that we want to do is, in addition to engaging the public more readily, also have better liaisons with various town departments and committees on working towards net zero emissions. So we'd like to know how the town administrator would like to help us with that, and what his thoughts are.
Perfect.
So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay, let me also say that from this group, I've learned that we have to add to that a home rule petition for 100% electric new construction. And of course, we need to brief the town on the new electric rates coming up. But I have a question for the group. In preparing for the solar PV presentation that we're doing in our workshop in 2 weeks, I apparently learned that the Smart T program, at least for residential construction, is effectively dead. And that's because Smart T has a reimbursement rate of today's rate is 27 cents per kilowatt hour, less the price of electricity. So if you're paying 20 cents and they reimburse at 25, they actually give you a bill difference of 7 cents. Unfortunately, the cost of electricity will now exceed their reimbursement rate. So you owe them 5 cents if you participate in the program. That is, there is no reimbursement under Smart T, at least as far as personal homes are concerned. I'm not sure where it stands for commercial programs. I don't know, Liz is probably more familiar with that, whether it works exactly the same way with just slightly different rates. But as a group, we might consider whether or not the state wants to come up with some plan that replaces Smart T, because right now they're not doing anything for us at all. Effective on the next rate increase, which will happen on January 1st, Smart T will be essentially out of business. So has anyone else encountered this or know anything about whether, yeah, Judy, maybe you could talk? I don't know.
Yeah, I ran into somebody who called me up, one of the Solarize customers who was talking to My Generation Energy, and they were saying, well, you know, the rate on the SMART program has gotten so low that we would think, since you're a small system, that we would think of enrolling you in the REC program. And I kind of thought, is that even still around? So I have no idea, but there's one dealer on Cape who suggests that there is still some kind of presumably less desirable option under the REC program for residential, but I thought it was gone.
No, the REC program does exist for people who have had panels for 10 years. You can go from SRECs to RECs, but you'll be very disappointed. It's like 10% of what an SREC is getting you.
Why don't I look into that, Dick, and put something on the ECU website? That we, as I was saying in the beginning of the meeting, we have action items that we came up with for this at the spring meeting. This would be an action item. for our fall meeting. And I'll try to give us a little summary on that.
Oh, and Dick, I signed in on my phone, even though I'm here, so I could put that, that company you wanted in chat, so everybody's got that in chat. You know, Nova Source Power, the fixers. It's in the chat.
So that's where we stand.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. Moving Wellfleet. Moving backwards ever so swiftly, we have Truro. Do we have anybody from Truro this evening? And I know they've been very busy talking about Bob Higgins Steel is not here, I guess, but he has been very busy talking about with Kevin Galligan about, who used to be with the Cape Light Compact, trying to jumpstart the possibility of a microgrid at that end of the town to get some emergency resilience, some hardening going on. But that's for another time.
Battery and probably
He's
also our expert on
that's-
stretch code on the outer Cape.
Right, and that's, as Valerie points out there, they have a battery that Eversource just put in, so it begs the question. Well, let's not go there. All right, so then Sandwich, we have Judith, and I think we might also have Laura, but I know Judith is here.
Yeah, I'm here. One of the things we've done is we actively work to get a new select board member elected, and that worked, and it's made a world of difference. Last town meeting, the town went to the town meeting with over $8 million worth of projects that could have been paid for out of the Green Communities project, and they didn't even know that it could be paid out of that. And we went to them and explained that those projects could be, those projects could potentially be funded out of the Green Communities. So now they are moving toward adopting Green Communities, which is a huge change in Sandwich. There's currently an assessment being done of the town, which is excellent news. At the next town meeting, the stretch code has to be approved. And one of the discussions we had with the Board of Selectmen is that the current stretch code and the base code are pretty much the same. We know that there's a new stretch code coming out, but that it's neck and neck always with those two codes, that the base code always catches up. So it's a non-issue, but every taxpayer in town would be impacted if this passed. So that's big news for us. There is we've been active in working with a group that is developing a long-term plan for the Cape Cod Commission and ensuring that in that plan, the right issues are addressed in terms of climate change and energy conservation. Tom Dorney, who is, we have a loose group of climate action people here, and Tom Dorney and I, but he's been leading it, is working on analysis of electric buses and the impact on the town. And we've been working with the select board and through different publications to get the word out that we need to move toward electric buses. The Center for Active Living is a senior center that is being built in town. It's within, because of the working with them, they are incorporating both air and ground source heat pumps. It's built to a stretch code standard, and will have solar panels on it. Laura is our representative to CVEC, and I don't know if she's here. I don't see her. I looked around, but she's been very active in that. I've been working with a number of nonprofits like Heritage Museums and Gardens and churches. I'm working with 6 churches now, 2 of them in Sandwich, on net zero plans and possibly installing solar. So if you know of any churches who are interested, I'd be willing to just go in and help guide them through the process of what it takes to become energy efficient and incorporate solar if it's appropriate. So that in a nutshell is what's happening. Oh, we've also, write an article for, we have a column in the Enterprise, which is the Upper Cape newspaper here. And it's part of the Cape Newsnet online system. And we've had over 60 articles now on various issues having to do with climate change and climate action. The name of the column is called Climate Action. So that's what we're up to.
Great. I saw somebody put their hand up. Dick, was that you?
Yes, it was. I'm not totally sure about this, but I believe in the new IRA bill, there's a provision that helps nonprofits. Normally, nonprofits cannot take advantage of the tax credit because they don't pay taxes.
Right.
But this provision says that you can apply the designer of the project can take the credit. So
Right.
that in fact, you can cancel it. Now, I'm not sure how much it applies to, but you should look into it if you haven't already.
There are programs that help through different vendors have different approaches, and some split, they buy the panels and then resell them to the nonprofit, and they split that. It's now 30%. It was 26%. And so there are programs even now, but you're right, Dick. That's a new development in the IRA bill, which is an excellent change. So,
Right.
yeah.
And also, while they're at it, they should also apply for the accelerated depreciation and get another 25%.
Oh, okay, that's good. I didn't know about that. But I agree with you on that SMART program. I've sized a few systems recently, and the benefit of the SMART program is minuscule because of the rate. So it's become a really not helpful program at this point.
Suzanne, I wanted to give you an opportunity. I know that one of our action plans from the spring meeting was the electric bus hope. And I created a faux pod and put out in one of my notices about this fall meeting that action item had withered and died. And you corrected me, I believe. Did you not? Was that Suzanne?
Yeah, I actually have some really good news to report about that.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, so I just learned today that the, okay, let's see their official name here. The Nauset Regional Transportation Subcommittee, working with the Cape Cod Collaborative, which is the school bus provider for much of the Cape and specifically for the Nauset school system, has applied for 4 electric buses and the accompanying charging station. And they will get an answer on that from the EPA. It's part of the EPA's rebate program. And so they'll learn whether their application has been accepted in October.
Wow. We may have to have a little special meeting about that, you know?
Our analysis has shown that 12 million pounds of carbon dioxide are emitted by the school buses and vans in Sandwich. So that's a lot. And the agency that this town leases from is also interested in applying for those grants, but I don't think that process has started yet.
So it sounds like the Nauset Regional and in conjunction with the Cape Cod Collaborative, we may have something come out in October that will tell us what we need to know.
I believe that Martha's Vineyard has the electric buses.
Oh, yes, they're miles ahead. But that's not the school buses, that's their whole transportation system with induction charging, which is the future. Maybe we'll get there on the mainland.
Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, Martha's. So that Judith, is that it for you guys in Sandwich?
That's it.
Okey-dokey. I know we don't have Provincetown with us, I don't believe, unfortunately. But that would bring us to Orleans. And we do have
Orleans. Okay, so it's very nice to be here. This is my first meeting. I'm blessed by having Martin
living in Orleans, except I don't know, he seemed to have disappeared. But oh, there, Martin, hello. I'm saying it's wonderful to have him live in Orleans, so he's on our committee. I don't know that this is going to be the most organized presentation. I'm taking little notes about things to say, but I'll give you a little update about Orleans. One of the things that we've done as a committee is we started developing papers, and we want to develop a communication and kind of educational outreach plan. So far we have papers, which we haven't really distributed to anybody yet, but we have them. And one is on municipal solar strategies, one is on heat pumps, one is on the transition, how long it's going to take from fossil fuels to renewables. And each of the wonderful authors are not quite ready to let them out yet because they don't quite have all the data exact, but that is kind of a plan. We were very excited about EV charging stations. We have one at the Hot Chocolate in Sparrow in Orleans and one at the big shopping center. And so we passed a motion saying that we wanted to get the select board to support EV stations at Nauset Beach, which we thought was a wonderful public utility. But there's been very slow progress. And part of the message we're getting back is, well, we don't even use the ones, anytime you go by them, nobody's using them. And most people who have EV cars in Orleans evidently have their own chargers. So we're not quite getting where we want to go on that, but we're
If I could interject,
trying.
because it's totally,
Yes.
but that's what we're learning everywhere, is that that's why the DC fast chargers, you're gonna do anything, that's all you do. And that is not for your locals, it's for your tourists.
That's right, that's right. Well, and that's what Provincetown did. We went up to Provincetown and they've got them on the bourse. They also said that people, the real estate people are saying that if you don't have EV charging stations nearby or in the homes that people are renting, they won't rent them. So it's clearly we should do it, but for some reason we want fast ones and we can't quite get that accomplished yet. We are a green community and we are struggling mightily with the fact of not spending our green community funds. Our grants, whoa,
Yeah.
well, with the projects that evidently the town has done for one reason or another, this happened and that happened. And so we're sitting on money that's going to go to these projects. And now they have to shift the projects and move to some other projects. But so one of our priorities is to be tracking the green community money and making sure that the projects that, you know, the facilities people want to work on are ones that are going to get spent, because you got to spend the money before you can get more money. You all know that. Okay, we have a big initiative of supporting both individuals and projects to get solar. We have, a lot of Orleans is on 6A or near 6A and somehow is in the district. You all know the district. So we had a tremendously interesting project. It's a private developer who is going to take that horrible underground mall and make affordable housing out of it, workforce housing. And he was getting trouble with whether or not you could see panels or whether or not there were panels on the far side, whether there should be this roof and that roof. And we testified and they got it. So he did make a few adjustments, but I mean, I think a little bit of citizen power there was very good. We also have Governor Prince, which is going to be an affordable housing project, and we want to get ahead of it by saying, before you put out any bids, of course, it's a long way to go, they haven't even demolished it yet, but we want to make sure that, you know, that they're going to be energy efficient. So we're trying very hard to get ahead of these projects rather than kind of, you know, catch up and say, oh, by the way, how about solar panels? We have been invited to the select board in October. We have a very responsive select board and they want to hear from us and figure out how they can kind of, you know, move some of our initiatives along, which is very nice. On another front, we are sewering. I don't know that's not exactly for this, but we're in a big project there. And we also have on our warrant coming up in October, a home rule petition to ban fertilizer. And that's a little bit controversial. Okay. Anything else, Martin, that I've forgotten about our wonderful committee? Want to add anything?
Just the master energy program.
The master energy program. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning. And hopefully, and our committee is certainly supporting that. Would like to get some support. I want to just shift hats for 1 minute because I used to be a human services director in another state. And I don't know whether you all know about LIHEAP, but I'm hearing all this fact about there are a lot of low-income families who are going to get crashed on the new energy rates. And LIHEAP is a federal program that low-income families can apply for to get offsets for their energy costs.
In order to be in Massachusetts for LIHEAP, you need to be on the discount rate. So they're linked, LIHEAP funding and the discount rate, we want them in both. So that's the electric, you have an electric discount rate, you have a gas discount rate as well. So and that just maximizes the amount of services. So on our website, talk about the income eligibility. You'd be surprised how many retirees, not about your assets, about your income, how many retirees are eligible.
Yes.
for
And most
these
people have never
programs.
heard of it and they never use it. It's very underutilized. So.
Okay, going backwards, the next town is Mashpee. Don't recall seeing anybody from Mashpee. Correct me. Okay. Then going backwards, we have Harwich.
Right here.
Hey, Valerieville.
My two committee members, Charlie and Jacqueline, are on Zoom.
Yes.
And I'm here. Martin brought up the Master Energy Volunteer Group, and I think it's a wonderful idea because our Energy Committee has talked a lot about how do we help the public understand what's going on. I mean, we sit here and we kind of know all this stuff, but the average person on the street had no clue what's going on. I do want to put a shout out for an organization called Cape and Island Self-Reliance.
Yes.
They're a nonprofit organization, been around for over 30 years. And the two ladies that run that, Megan and Lindsay, Martin, it's exactly what they do. They field hundreds of questions every week about all kinds of energy things. And they have been doing this forever. Now, so I think that if we want to sort of get it going, I think that Megan or Lindsay from Cape and Island Self-Reliance can come in and kind of give us a little tutorial on the kinds of questions they get, that type of thing. So
I can reach out to them.
Yeah,
for the.
because I think they should be involved. They've been doing it for a long, long
And I
time.
think Martin's note right up, actually, he mentions that.
Good, good, guys. The buses, I was really excited to hear about that because when I mentioned it to our town, they said, well, we don't own the buses, so yeah, not our problem. And maybe we could talk to school committees and say, the next time you go to sign a bus contract, maybe try to put that in the contract, that you're more energy efficient. Anyway, getting back to green communities, another thing that we found out at one of our we've been trying to meet with different people in town and try to figure out what's going on. And our John Libby, the guy that sort of coordinates our building facilities in Harwich, he pretty much is, in his opinion, we have maxed out what we can do for energy efficiency with buildings. They've installed new stuff, and here's a catch-22 that we found out. We're a green community, and we didn't hesitate to spend our money, and we upgraded all kinds of mechanicals to the highest efficiency gas equipment that was available. The average lifespan of this equipment is 20-25 years. So we are not going to go to heat pumps anytime soon. Because the town just can't see spending again, on that. So this is an interesting conundrum. I mean, we have super duper high efficiency gas equipment. Now, maybe the price of gas will get so high that it will make going to a heat pump more reasonable as far as financial, but boy, I was like, oh yeah, they're not gonna want to do this. So the next thing that we're trying to do is get the chargers. And so there's a mass EVP program out there that has grant money for municipalities. And so I asked our town, we should do this. And the town manager said, great, I'll send you the stuff, you can do it. So we're going to try to, there's only 3 of us. So we will talk about it at our next meeting, but maybe we can coordinate and get the town. And I know
Come to our meeting and cost the whole thing out for us. And
Yeah.
you get huge amounts of offsets. It's not really that expensive. Our town just as well is going to cost money. So they're just not seeing it as a priority.
Exactly. But I think the woman who's the chair, in charge of our the business community.
Finance?
No, she's a Chamber of Commerce. She's very, very interested in this because of the tourist stuff.
Yeah.
We have nothing in Harwich, and you're absolutely right. If you're on Verbo or something like that and you don't see any chargers in that town you're not going there. You have plenty of other choices. So we're hoping that we're between Chamber of Commerce and we're hoping our next project will be trying to get charging stations.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
If you have solar, if you're using solar in your town, it still may be beneficial financially for you to go with heat pumps. One of the churches I've looked at has solar on it. They have a highly efficient condensing boiler as well. And the solar is putting out so much electricity that's not being utilized by the church that it actually has paid for them to go with heat pumps to condition their building. So it's something, if you analyze your usage data over the last 5 years or so, you'll be able to tell how much of that is solar and what you might be able to tap for a heat pump. The other thing is that the incentives now for heat pumps are pretty attractive, where for commercial, which is $2,500 a ton. And then for residential, it's $10,000. So there's some attractive incentives there for the installation of a new system. So it's worth looking at.
You know, I agree with what you just said, Judith, but this is the ultimate conundrum that all of us face with our towns. It's all about the bottom line.
Yeah.
And I love my Harwich selectmen, and I've been in front of them and had my head handed to me more times than I can count. And they weigh that balance, and we have not tipped the policy yet from our selectmen, for not all, but not all 21 towns have embraced, we're going to decarbonize our buildings, and yes, it may cost us some in the short run, but they're not there yet.
Right.
Those are policy calls that, you know, as you just said, Judith, that's how you address elected officials, selectmen that support that. But I mean, it is a challenge.
Did your numbers include solar output?
Our town has a big solar farm. I mean, we have plenty of
They're
solar.
making millions, made a ton of money off of our solar install. It comes down to it's a policy call, Judith. It's not about the economics. It's about, you're asking me, after I just paid high efficiency natural gas heating systems to come in with, you know, $150,000 heat pump system that's going to cost me, and they look at it so narrowly. They don't look like any of the externalities or any of the other costs that we all are talking about. So that's the conversation we're trying, you know, we're all, we have it, but you talked about how do we get it? It's elected officials, it's changing elected officials, educating them constantly. And
We're still having the discussion right now.
I will bring,
I would make an argument that they did the right thing and they're doing the right thing, and that heat pumps will come in 25 years when we're ready.
I mean, that's what we're gonna do.
Right.
We are not ready for everybody putting in heat pumps all over. We haven't even tested them.
The other thing that we're still fighting the battle on is the cars, because we're still getting from the selectmen, it's cheaper to take an old cop car and run it into the ground than to buy an electric car. And so that's the other issue.
Great. Davis wants to talk about. Mike has a point.
Yeah, we have the same exact problem in Newburyport. How do you convince people when they look at the bottom line? And what we did recently is we passed an ordinance which got a lot of support from our city councilors. And what it says is anytime an RFP goes out for a new building, for a major rehab, that the bidders have to have sustainability experience, and they have to show full life cycle costs, and they have to do different models. To show.
We've already passed that.
And so that says that they have to, they will see the full costs of it, and they get information, and they passed it because it was information, not a forcing.
Spot on.
Can you send that to us?
Sure.
I mean, I know.
We have it for EV for cars. They're not allowed to buy a car unless it's an emergency if they don't first consider an electric car.
Where are you? He's in Chatham. Now, do we have
passed
that
those 2 years ago.
available to the group?
Well, we can.
Let's get it on the this ECI website, because there's a repository for that kind of stuff.
Those are important.
And that's a bylaw too, you both
They're
pushed it
both
through by
bylaws, and they
bylaw.
ran, nobody even objected.
Through town meeting and everything?
Yep.
Sometimes town meetings.
I did them by proclamation, both of them.
As long as you're at the end of the town meeting.
No, no, we did the first thing.
And we're coming around the corner here. We only have a few towns left. I don't believe we have anybody from Falmouth. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eleanor. Please carry on. Eleanor.
Because Rosemary has to leave, so we have a relay team here. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Eleanor Ling. I don't think many of you know me. I'm a member of the Falmouth Energy Committee and also the Falmouth Climate Action Network. I will just give you a quick update of what's going on, what we have been working on. The Energy Committee is still working with the town to hire a green community consultant to work on all the grant money, because the town received about 180,000 grants. But the town has not been able to, well, I should say, because there's lack of staffing, so the town has not spent any of that money yet, because during the application process, there are many projects identified that we should do. And so we are still, waiting to hire that consultant to spend the money, basically. And this another project we have been working on is to continue to advocate to the select board to budget the money for the sustainability director position in this coming budget cycle. Many of you probably know that we have successfully advocated for a sustainability director position, a full-time position in the town of Falmouth. And the town meeting has passed this petition this spring. And the thing is, we still need the position to be budgeted. So we're going to continue to push for that. And the select board is in the process of preparing the FY24 budget. So we're going to continue to work on that. And I want to thank Liz sharing the Martha's Vineyard Climate Action Plan several weeks ago, because I sent it to the select board, the Falmouth Select Board. Hopefully, that would provide more information to convince them, this is a really important position to coordinate and educate all the town departments, and also help coordinate the efforts and so forth. Another project we have been working on is to advocate to the steamship authority to replace their current ferry fleet with hybrid and or all electric ferries. And it is a really complex issue, because their funding, these ferries, the hybrid and or electric ferries, are very, very expensive. And there's the Steamship Authority has recently released a report on the comparison between the diesel ferries that they're currently using and the hybrid ferries and also the electric ferries. And to make a long story short, they said that they concluded that the cost is prohibited because of their revenue, the way they collect their revenues and so forth. So we're gonna continue to work on this project and discuss how best and how effective we can advocate for these replacement with hybrid or electric ferries. Another project we have been working on and will happen soon is the Solar Green Home Tour. It's going to be on October 1st, and currently we have about 5 to 6 homeowners who are committed to participate as hosts to show their homes. Their homes have solar panels and heat pumps and solar hot water and so forth, and some have gardens and compost systems and all kinds of green features. So this is going to be exciting. Let me see, it is from 10 to 4 on October 1st. It is part of the National Solar Home Tour organized by the American Solar Energy Association. So we've, looking forward to that. And as a matter of fact, I think somebody from Hartwich just mentioned self-reliance earlier, and the Energy Committee is working with self-reliance, and Megan Amsler is the self-reliance executive director, and she has organized the Solar Home Tour with the Falmouth Energy Committee for the past, like 18 years something. So we're pretty excited about that. And what else? We plan to continue to submit articles, publish articles to educate the public, how about energy conservation, and also the various new technologies and so forth on renewable energy. And so that will be, in our plan. And we have discussed if we want to submit a petition article on net zero stretch code for this coming town meeting, but we decided we're gonna wait because there, as you know, there's a state net zero stretch code coming out supposedly by the end of this year, and it's opt-in. So when it comes out, then we can submit a petition to opt in.
Because we're gonna lose our Zoom at 6:30, and we have 3 more towns to get to weigh in. Were you done though? Carry on.
I'm done. Yes.
Pretty so I planned. Eleanor. Thank you, Eleanor. I'm sorry. Okay. So that brings us to Dennis. Thank you.
I'm new here. Got the email and was very curious. I'm on the Dennis Alternative Energy Committee.
And your last name is?
Solomon, S-O-L-O-M-O-N. I guess usually Susan Klein is here from our committee.
Yes.
So I said I would come. At our last meeting, we discussed chargers, and I'm hearing that the level 2 chargers may not be the right decision, because we're currently talking about putting in a prototype, because we had 12 sites that we were going to do. And not sure if that's the way we should go now. So I'm willing.
I would say get your hotels to put.
Get your
level 2.
Yes.
Because that's where they're needed and they can charge overnight. But if you're gonna put one on the street, it's too slow. You're gonna, it takes up the park. That person will take the thing up all day and you'll get one person charge. If you do. You may be like Orleans and get over it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even though you get a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, I used it.
Yeah. The other thing, we are using our green community funds to upgrade the ventilation system in a couple of our older buildings that really needed it. We're still doing assessments, I believe, energy assessments in some of the other buildings. I think we've almost completed all the changing out of the lighting at this point in all the buildings. That's all really I have at this point.
Yeah, that's great. Really, Dreams, you just jumped right in there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna move us right into then Chatham. And of
Okay,
course,
well, we're blessing Chatham because the Chatham Can and Climate Action Committee have a large number of really active people. We went to the select board and told them and asked them for permission to put a roadmap together for an energy and climate action plan, which we are going to present in October. It's quite extensive. For instance, we have a salt marsh protection plan. It's going to tell you what's going to be done next year, what should be done in 3 years, who's going to be doing it, which organizations are going to be working with across the city, the town, the region, the state, where the money can come from. And so we've done that for salt marshes. We're doing that for infrastructure. We don't have a good parking planning person that can on our team, but eventually part of reducing emissions is to stop having everybody drive through Chatham in the summertime. We have somebody working on protected groundwater quality and quantity because sea level rise is going to have some major issues on our septic systems. We have a group of people that are revising and updating regulatory and permitting processes and bylaws. We're talking about a new conservancy bylaw for Chatham. And then we have a whole bunch of energy stuff. And I just want to, a couple of interesting things. I should have introduced Brian Miner, one of our people. He put together a demo for our DPW and sanitary departments on all the new electric lawn equipment, commercial lawn equipment, and they came out, they made a demonstration. It was raining, but it was pretty successful. I'll let Brian say something about that after I'm done with my 5 minutes. We also work very hard to promote 2 CLC programs. We tried, we were very active in knocking in every commercial business for the Main Street. And then we also had Brianna Kane come out and meet with and have a little table for the summer residents board meeting. And it turns out that's not a very good place to meet because everybody that's motivated enough to come to that meeting is almost motivated to call mass save. So we need to work on a better way to reach summer residents that are less motivated. So now I just want to take the rest of my time for the net zero building energy code and the stretch code. First of all, Judy, I will tell you there is a major difference between the base code and the new stretch code. You do need to work with your town to promote the stretch code. It's about 20% higher. What happened is it was 20% higher before, but the base code kept catching up because the federal government is slowly is improving, and the people that do codes slowly catch up to the stretch code. But we need every town on the Cape to be a stretch code community, and we should be. And I'm sorry that it was Falmouth that said they're not going to be supporting the special code.
Can I ask you a question before, because I can't remember, but if you're a green community, do you automatically you're automatically doing the stretch code, but
You're-
not the next one.
Yes, you are,
Yes, first
You-
one, each time it updates.
You are automatically doing it, but you have the option to either go backwards, which I hope no one would. Or you could go forward and do the special code,
Got
which is net zero.
Yeah, okay.
It's net zero ready. And let me say, we are ready in this state to do net zero ready. That means you're going to put in the electrical equipment to be ready to put in solar. You're going to put in the electrical equipment to put in a heat pump and storage at some point in the future. But you're not forcing buildings now to do all those things, not have a fireplace, not have a generator, all those things that would not pass. In order for the specialized code to pass, you're gonna need 2/3 of the town. So let's go with the specialized net zero ready code. That's the right one for us to get it elected. And I don't see why we don't have a Cape-wide effort at that. The easiest thing for builders to do is to say, well, I'm gonna just go build here because I don't have to follow the code. But if the entire Cape was specialized net zero ready code, then the builders would be fine. That's what everybody has to build. That's what's gonna happen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the only towns, all 6 vineyard towns, they're already adopted the stretch code.
Right.
Everybody on the Cape except for Barnstable
And apparently.
And
Sandwich.
and Sandwich have adopted the
The
stretch
stretch
code. So we've got and the 2 big towns. I just want to make sure that's right. Everybody's nodding their heads. Okay, thank you.
So-
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, so I think that that's what we should be doing as energy committee, is working together for this spring to have every town put forth a warrant article that says we're going to adopt a specialized net zero ready code.
Well, that can be our action item. number 2.
That should be an action. I just want to say one more thing about your Valerie. The energy, the very high efficiency combustion gas unit that you put in there is a great move. If you took it out now and put in heat pumps, those heat pumps would be saving you, but she's gonna be generating that electricity with gas. So there is no immediate savings if you made that change now.
Right.
We
we're
need
happy
to,
with
we need to be thinking about 20 years from now. We need to be
Well, yes, but
electrified 20
right.
years.
We have to just add the caveat that until we get our offshore wind, which is, when construction
Right.
starts. I mean, but just, we're not
We're
debating.
not there yet.
I don't think we're 20 years out, Bob.
Well, 20 years wouldn't hurt us. I mean, if a few people.
I'm just pushing up daisies in 20 years. I'd like to see that.
I would like to-
And
I'm
maybe
willing
different
to
people sitting
argue
here.
on 10 years. That's why the specialized code is the right one now, because people in 15 years, 10 years, they'll be real ready to get rid of that.
Right, this equipment needs to be replaced.
We got 10 minutes and we got 2 towns.
All right,
I don't want to cut you off because you, as you point out, you've done a lot.
Do you
and
have the
it's key.
template for for that suggestion, just for the town meeting warrant? Do you have,
We haven't put it together, but.
are you guys working on it?
Get it on the ECU
We can do
website.
that. We'll do
Okay,
that.
awesome.
All right, without further waste of time, that's the wrong thing, because it was not a waste of time. Oh my God, I'm so diplomatic, it's unbelievable. Orn. Janice.
Thanks. 2 quick updates. Bourne has gotten preliminary verbal notification that we will have our green community designation, and the amount of the funding will be $172,000. We're waiting for some coordination with the governor's office, I understand, the details of which I don't entirely know. The success of this project was really helpful. Margaret Song was absolutely fantastic getting this walkthrough. We did it in about 6 months because we were standing on the shoulders of all the people who had done it before. And of course, Bob Schofield, who's been working on green energy for Bourne for 20 years, has the inside track and all this. He scares me when he says he's 86 and he's not going to be around that much longer. So But I hope that's not the case. So the money will be applied to a multi-phased project, will be managed by a performance contracting company called Trane, Trane. I don't know if you all are familiar with them. Their core business is heating and air conditioning, but they have taken on design, installation, and service of energy services. What you do is you contract with them, and they absolutely guarantee that they will have a certain amount of energy savings over a 20-year period. And if they miss the target, they write you a check for the difference. So it's absolutely guaranteed.
Unless they disappear.
They're the sole point of contact for the projects. And Bourne's first project, they were selected in January of this year, are going to be 4 schools where they're going to do some first remedial repairs and then replacement of some of the energy systems there. 58% of this will be paid off in guaranteed savings, according to the plan. And the balance of funds needed will be through a tax exempt lease program, a TELP, or TELP if you pronounce it that way. We don't need town meeting approval for the lease program, but we do need town meeting approval for the 20-year contract, because that's only the town meeting can approve a commitment of that much time. So as you know, we've had quite a lot of turnover in our town administration. In 2 years, we're now on our 3rd town administrator, but Maureen McCullen is in place and doing great. So we're looking forward to working through various energy issues with them. That's my report.
Excellent. Has anybody had any experience with an ESCO company making that guarantee and going upside down or disappearing?
I used to spend all my time as a consultant trying to get the money that was supposed to be from ESCOs. You need to be very careful. In fact, I was going to ask Maggie if that's a service that's Cape Light Compact will do, was look at the contracts and make sure that they're actually spending the money and not just taking the cream of your energy savings. And second, that there are the right monitoring and verification so that both sides are protected down the line. But if there's no other way to get the work done, they are a solution. If you don't have the capabilities yourself.
I'm pretty sure Janice Margaret is looped into the train, but I'll double check because Bob Schofield brought it to mind. He called me but I'll confirm that Margaret's seen it.
And that might help some towns like Barnstable, get over the hump if
David Anthony is very up to speed also on ESCOs too. A good contractor.
I would just say, if you can spend the money, hire them straight. You're gonna make more money than you are if you do the guarantee.
What's it called?
ESCO.
Energy Services Company. Okay, it's called an ESCO.
We're looking at one.
Right, and they come in usually because you don't have the cash to do all of the work, and they have cash and they take all the
Well, they have cash, but they make their money by not spending a lot either and finding an easy
Yeah,
thing that you can do yourself. So you almost, I've never seen a situation where you wouldn't have been better off had you been able to do it yourself. And that's the key. If you don't have the people to do it, or you don't have the resources, then this is the solution.
That said, Barnstable.
Thank you. Last but not least, so my name is Gordon Starr. I'm from Barnstable. I'm town councilor liaison to the Energy Committee. We are the only town on Cape Cod that isn't a stretch code community, and I don't see the will for it at the moment. So we haven't dropped it, but we're still gonna. It's not there at the moment. So so the Energy Committee is mostly working on food waste, composting, offering free composters through the transfer station. They're going to be working with commercial businesses on Main Street because in November, DEP is lowering their threshold of down to 0.5 ton of compost a week, so that all all businesses that produce at least a half ton need to compost it somehow, either contract or do it. I don't know what their enforcement is, but that's, I don't, it's at 1 ton now. I don't know what their enforcement is. We also had a couple of large apartment buildings come through town council and the planning department. And the question has always been, how many EV chargers do you request? If you've got 300 parking spaces, do you ask for 20%? Do you ask, you ask for, I think we got up to maybe 10%. And a couple that were maybe EV ready. But these are apartment buildings. People can't throw extension cords out the windows. Right. And it's easy, it's so much easier to do it now, just to put the conduit in the ground. But we need that by law. So that was good to hear. Yeah. Great, thanks. So actually, both of these big, huge apartment complexes, one of them started out saying they were going to be all electric. The other one said we're coming in with natural gas. We said, I want you to rethink about that. And they came back the next meeting and said, okay, we'll do electric. I think they were just sort of running on what they usually do, rubber stamped in other parts of the country.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was a good turnaround. But so we're getting some more housing. But the solar is tough because none of these buildings have solar on. There's quote solar Reading, but all the mechanicals are on the roof. But we don't have anything to push back yet, so we're working on that. And I have a town council meeting at 7, so I've got to be back in town.
Thank you for waiting, and I apologize for.
I give back the rest of my time.
I yield my time. 2 minutes. All right, before we go crazy here, that is the end of our meeting. Unless there is a burning question, anybody, we promise questions. Heather has waited from the Cape Cod Commission in case there are questions.
Thank you. I just have a general question in that as a little town, how are we all going to know exactly what, like we have the big junk pile of money coming from the federal government down to the towns and to the state, and then it's just very confusing is how, if the town wants to do stuff, like where do you go for all of this? Like the towns are not going to spend the money by themselves. They can't afford it. There is the billions of dollars out there, but how does a town connect to those billions? Or don't we know yet? Is that the bottom line?
Let me just let the people who are on Zoom know that Maggie Downey tells me this may shut down at 6:30, so be forewarned. But meanwhile, that is an excellent question.
Well, I heard today that the climate, I don't know what, they're not the 5 Cs anymore, right? Or is that the Cape Cod?
Oh, Cape Cod Climate Change.
Yes, that they have dedicated 2 people on their board to go through the new.
Yeah, that's going to be extremely helpful
Yeah,
for the
and
town,
to
because you have to take this big old, very confusing, large bills. These are large bills, and distill out what's usable by people like us, the energy committees.
And even when you say Cape, even if they bring it down to the Cape, because I assume they're gonna come through the county levels, but then how do the towns compete?
That's not all counties are equal in Massachusetts, there's some are very.
Well, we know that Barnstable County is asking right now. They know they put 4. I always say billion when it's probably million. But what is the county getting that they're talking?
Oh,
They
that
want
ARCA,
Yeah.
the ARCA money.
That's old leftover COVID stuff.
Right,
That's
right, but it's a good
So
example
you're-
because it sort of just gets dumped and then people start competing to see whether you can get some.
And they're trying to find, they're still in the process of like, what should we use that money for?
They have an RFP, I think they're due soon, I just got an email. They
Yeah,
got,
there's a letter of intent, but it's
And
gotten
they've given
narrow, it's
money
kind
to
of
the
public
town.
health.
It's they had a long, healthy debate over what to use the funds for, and then they put out a request for proposals for grants.
And towns did get money. Mashpee got money.
Towns got money directly.
Sandwich got money. They put in for waste with specific stuff, which of course maybe.
But it is, and I know we tried to do it yesterday at our Keep Like Compact meeting, but we didn't have time to really go through it, like, what does this bill really say? And how is it actually?
So much is changing, it's gonna be updated again, regulations, everything else.
And a lot of that gets boiled out. I mean, even the vendors, every vendor that we're dealing with is interpreting it. mean, we were talking before this meeting started with Mike from Newburyport and Brian, who works for Select Energy. What does this mean? And, you know, we're, one of the, of course, the big one that floated to the top was the fact that the towns and nonprofits can now take advantage of that 30% and the backers.
What's the we need IRS guidelines on that. That's what
Right.
we're waiting for. See how you are going to be able to take your 30 and right, how are they going to cash you out?
Just because the bill's done,
Right.
the interpretation
Right.
Yeah.
is
A lot of
ongoing,
right.
then the regulations.
Exactly.
Based on
Administrative Right. It's gonna take some time for all that, for that, and that's complicated.
Right, and then if we're trying to get our town to put chargers, and, you know, so we do have an existing program for grant money, but maybe the town says, maybe we should wait and see if more money's coming, you know? It's like, when do you pull the trigger, you know, and then.
Never wait.
Right. Get started, do a little bit, practice,
Yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
do some more later.
Yeah. It's like, all right, anybody else have any other questions from the Zoom crowd?
Thank you for lunch.
Thank you for dinner. We're still dinner. No, I did not. Thank you, Maggie. So the date, I thought, in the spring, we might look at July 20th. It had a nice ring to it. It's a
Stay away from
Thursday.
July.
To June. We could do June.
It's just really hard.
Sure, look at June. Give me a June date. I don't, doesn't matter to me.
It's a long time
Thursday
away.
night would be June 22nd.
Oh, I love that date. That's a good date.
After summer,
June 22nd.
the solstice. Yep.
Yes, very good. Of course, we'll make sure everybody gets notified, but this was one of the best meetings we've had. Well, at one point, we may have had more, but I counted 27 on Zoom. And how many did we have here? We probably had 15. So,
Well, I know Doug Elka was saying that, you know, they've been doing these outreach programs, you know, where they get talks and things. And he said that they're finding out that they get a much better response if they Zoom it.
well, I like this hybrid thing.
Yeah, the hybrid I like, because people want to be here, can be here, and then people don't.
Yep.
Anybody else, Mike, do you have anything you want to say?
And we're hopefully in October that we can do that for a quiet.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
and then
that's on our
that
agenda.
note,
Martin,
we will
is there, are they gonna be out there about like how many people?
Yes, there is.
See, I'm gonna know.
Bye. Bye.
It is.
I think I'm gonna know more about what.
So long.
I have to do.
And
Because I know when we used to have the phone, there were some rules and
Right,
regulations
so
about
yeah,
that.
so yeah, so.
You haven't, all right.
But October board meeting, I was mixing that up. We need 4 executive committee members. And they will be
Physically
here.
present.
And then the rest, so I think we'll probably have Bob Schofield, Dick Elkin, Martin, and David Anthony. And then anyone else who wants to come. Most people will come in, like all the islands coming in from Vineyards coming in via Zoom.
Oh, absolutely.
P-Town, you know,
Absolutely.
Truro, they'll come in via Zoom.
I just wanted to
Finally,
introduce you.
sorry, I didn't get a
Good to
chance
meet
to
you.
get together.
No problem.
Yeah. So how long are you down for? Just
Just till tomorrow, we came down yesterday.
nice. Well, thank you
Always
for,
good to come to the Cape.